Arthur, I've invented the Game Boy SP. Dutch, not this again. No, it's got Pokemon Sapphire on it. Who is that? That's not. Is that Dutch? Is that faithful to Dutch? Or is it
pretty close? It might as well be. I don't know.
There's a whole world of Game Boy cartridges out there. I don't know. Whatever.
We gotta find it.
Come on, Dutch. Come on, man.
Hello and welcome to Grass Touchers, the show where the three of us guys talk about how much we like video games despite the fact we don't have that much time to play them these days. I am Jake.
I am Jared.
And I'm Greg.
And
I want to hear all your what?
What? That come from? Sorry, go ahead.
Who said that? Jared, what have you been doing? What's up in video game land for Jared right now?
Well, still Dota. A lot of Dota.
Yeah.
Huge meta crushing patch dropped yesterday, so I've been kind of trying to read into that as much as possible. The changelog is enormous.
Oh, man.
I have been playing some X-Men Children of the Atom on one of my handhelds, which is an old fighting game.
What era is that from? That sounds interesting.
I think it released in like 94. So
Okay.
it's the 2D. It's before they did. It's before they did X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel versus Capcom and all that. It was like kind of the first. It's a little rough around the edges. It's not as good as those games, but I've just been enjoying that. And what else have I been doing? Staring at the sun with my eyes wide open to see how long I can do it, because my mom said I can't, and I totally can. She was wrong.
Prove you wrong,
Yeah.
Mom.
So
What do
that's
you
going
know,
really well.
Mom?
It's going
Nice,
really
dude.
well. Yeah.
That's
Greg?
great.
Well, honestly, not too many video games, guys. I'm about to be a father very soon, which is very exciting.
You're getting
Soon
ordained?
and very soon.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
getting,
ordained. Oh, I'm waiting for the call. I gotta see the call.
yeah, absolutely. No, honestly, guys, this is part of being a grass toucher. Like, especially the last, 3 weeks. My wife just feels terrible, like almost all the time, And I've been working a lot, and I got promoted a few months ago, and usually when I get home, like, she wants to spend time with me, and so we've been rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine all the way through, which is just absolutely hilarious. If you have not watched it, you're missing out.
Oh, yeah.
And super funny. And yeah, just spending time with her, and I stare longingly at my Steam Deck about every night, and I look at my PS5. In fact, one of my coworkers came over earlier tonight. We had a end of the year little meeting for about an hour, and he looked at my PS5 and he said, "I forgot you have a PS5." And I said, "I do too most of the time."
Yeah, me too.
And so that was kind of a bummer. But honestly, and we'll talk about this later in the pod, but one of the things I'm really excited about is figuring out like what my life is going to look like as far as video games and like entertainment and all those things go. Like once I have a child, and there will be some downtime, but it will be random and not any sort of true downtime. And so that'll be interesting. And so, yeah, not too many video games, mostly just like watching TV with my wife and just
Nice, man.
soaking up these last few moments where it's just the two of us.
That's right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
Well, speaking of the Steam Deck, I ended up playing some of Animal Well, the latest indie developed darling of the video game community. Playable both on the Switch and the Steam Deck, and PC, I guess. Very rad. I am so not a platforming guy. It's not a genre that I have ever, with the exception, of course, of Metroid, because those games slap. That's the only platformer I've ever been able to get down with in the past, and this one is so not Metroid in the sense that like you're not shooting stuff, and the progression is not quite like Metroid. There's these items that you get, and they all do something interesting, and it reminds me of. Did you guys ever play? It was an internet-based like web flash game called Falling Sand. You guys ever seen this?
No.
There's like 4 things that fall from the ceiling of the little game area. One is water, one is like oil, one is sand, and one is something else I can't remember. And it's a physics simulator. It's just like a physics sandbox. And so you can like use fire, and you can stone. I think you get like a little drawing pen, like MS Paint or something.
Yes, I did play this game, dude.
Have you seen it? Okay, good. I'm glad you're looking at it.
You can play it right now.
You can still play it. It's a thing. It's a thing that you can still go do. And I used to love physics simulators because of the sort of creativity, sort of the Minecraft of it all, before Minecraft was a thing. Well, the reason I bring that up is because in Animal Well, there's some elements to the game that remind me of that. There's some interactions that are physics-based that are really cool. The animation is just like gorgeous. I can't tell you how surprised I have been at my desire to play that game, because I thought I would give it a couple hours and drop it, but I've probably put in like 5 or 6 just in the short week or so that I played it. This past weekend went up to my in-laws, and it was a perfect opportunity to just kind of sit on the couch and chill out with everybody, and some Steam Deck time was had, not to mention other times throughout the week where I squeezed it in. So yeah, Animal Well, very cool. I did beat Wreckfest, as I mentioned last week. I was close to doing. I totally finished the campaign, the career mode of that. It was very cool. And,
nice.
Then PUBG. I have succumbed to PUBG again. Me and Tyler have linked up throughout the week a couple times and had I don't know, nothing crazy. Nothing. I'm not like madly in love with that game. I'm basically just trying to stay a little bit fresh on PUBG so that when the Unreal Engine 5 thing drops, whenever that is going to be, that we can get into that. And then the last thing, which will lead into my first segment, I reinstalled and updated Star Citizen. Folks, I am a space enjoyer. Born and bred. I got it in my bones, from Star Wars to, heck, even a little bit of Star Trek. Not my fave, but I'll hang a little bit. Starfield, I gave way too many opportunities. I gave Starfield a lot of chances, more so than you guys. I love sci-fi as opposed to other kind of mediums. And so as a space enjoyer, I always have my finger on the pulse of, sci-fi games that are coming out. And when Star Citizen came across my desk, 3 years ago, some buddies of mine were like, hey, it's an alpha and it's super janky, but it's really fun. You should play with us. And I did. And I'm definitely not a huge fanboy in the sense of like spending thousands of dollars on ships in that game. But I have played quite a lot, and I love it, and I have plans to stick with it because of the direction it's going. And here lately, they recently updated the playable test area, the PU, the Persistent Universe, to version 3.23. And Greg, you may remember that you and I played this for just a little while.
Yes.
And it was before you upgraded to the graphics card that you have now. And I think your takeaway, if I remember this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, was like, I bet this game will be cool, but holy crap, it sucks right now. My computer can't hang, and my computer doesn't suck, so this game, like, it's the game's fault. Like, this is not for me right now.
That's exactly my take.
And that's a fair criticism of Star Citizen across the board. This game, like, is bad in terms of comparing it to other actually playable, fully fleshed out experiences. Until very recently, I have had a ton of performance issues with this game. And guys, I'm not joking. I played for like 3 hours, just kind of booting the game back up, reacclimatizing to flying a spaceship around and stuff. And the only time that I was below 60 frames a second, having not touched any of my graphics settings, they're all still on like high. The only time I was below 60 frames a second was if I was in a really busy city center with lots and lots of other people. And there's a free week in place right now, so it checks out, right? There's a lot of extra people on the server that normally wouldn't be there.
Yeah. They
They have some server meshing that has kind of bolstered their backend and the infrastructure of their servers. So you can have 200 some odd people on one server. and it's just totally fluid. You go from one area to another, and you move to a different server shard, and they're working on like making that super seamless, and it's just about perfect. Like the technology of that in the back end. As an IT nerd, I find it very interesting. To the average Joe, it's probably not that interesting because it's so passive in the background. But anyway, I flew my ship around, and I went to the expo hall because this free fly week that's on deck right now gives you opportunity to rent ships that you don't own yet. And I grabbed some new fighter jet thing that has like a couple of Gatling guns on it. It's freaking cool. I went and did a bounty. The only downside for right now is that there's some new keybinds because they redid the flight system. The flight system, you'll be happy to know, is actually more intuitive. It's a little more arcadey the way that you fly around, because you switch modes from like landing mode to combat mode to higher travel speed, like navigation mode. And so once you switch to a different mode, the ship sort of works the way that it should. Like your speed is limited when you're in landing mode, so you don't light speed yourself into a wall. Your speed is increased but also capped when you're in combat mode, because that was a balancing thing they decided to do. Like when your guns are active and you're in combat mode, you can only go but so fast. And then if you want to go into navigation mode and go faster, your guns get deactivated. And your shield actually gets deactivated too, and it gets sort of like put away. And when you leave navigation mode, your shields come right back, not instantaneously, but pretty quickly. So I've been watching some YouTube videos of what other people have thought of this patch, and it seems like everybody's having like a better time across the board. There's new missions, the UI. Greg, do you remember the loot system and the map and the UI just being really, really rough?
Just everything about the game felt unfinished in basically every regard, like when I was playing it. Like I kept having the thought of like, man, I bet this game's gonna be really cool in like 3 years.
Yeah, right. And that's exactly how everyone feels. And to be clear, even now it's not done. It is very much an alpha, and they're making all these changes all the time. They're wiping the servers all the time, and that's the main downside. Is like, even if in this patch I give it another shot, and I think I will, there will be the downside of like, if I grind up to a couple million credits or whatever, like I have in the past, it will very likely be wiped at some point before the game launches. Anything I'm doing right now is not a forever thing. Any ships that you buy with real money and add to your account, of course you have forever. But, so anyway, I've thoroughly enjoyed Star Citizen in my little recent romp, and I want to keep acclimatizing to it because of all the changes. And the map, too, they have an actual mini map in the top left corner that like renders everywhere that you are. It renders it again, but just in like a wireframe way in the top left. So you can hit map and see not only what part of the solar system you're in, but you can see like the room of the ship that you're in. So there's a map for every ship. There's a map for every city. There's a map for every walkway and tram and train, and kind of everything about playing the game is less cumbersome, because they've really worked on the UI, which I think is super rad. So there's a big patch 4.0 that is on the horizon, and I'm pretty stoked. I think that game's kind of turning a corner where there will be some improvements that make it actually worth playing and less of a pain to
Is this game
enjoy.
now? We didn't play that much, but there's no like guns in this game, right? It's just space combat, correct?
No, there is. There is.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think we even got to do some FPS missions because of the experience that you were having, unfortunately. I remember when you played, I think it was another free weekend, but you did buy the game too. And I got in this ship called the Mercury Star Runner with you because it's a very sort of Millennium Falcon like smuggling ship, and it was big and cool and fast. And it was rendering so badly on your end. I think you even sent me a screenshot. You're like, dude, this is unplayable. I can't do this right now. And what I wanted to do was put you in that ship with me, put you in the turret, go kill some bad guys in space, and you could do the whole turret gunner thing. And then we were going to go land somewhere and go do like a bounty mission and shoot guys FPS. But we didn't get a chance to. So yes, you do get to do that. There's different armors, there's different guns, there's different attachments. It's a whole universe, you know. I heard it explained really well the other day in a podcast I was listening to. You know, in some space games, you feel like you are a ship because you never get out of the ship. Elite Dangerous, I would argue, follows this model. There is a player model that you can sort of zoom out and see, but until very recently, Elite Dangerous didn't have the ability to go walk around And even when you do, there's just like a cutscene animation thing where you're in a ship and then you're in a hangar, and then there's like a short sort of hidden loading screen, and now you're a guy on a space station. Whereas in this game, it's fully fleshed out and realized you are a person that wakes up in a bed and you have to walk to a hangar and call for your ship and get in your ship and then fly to a place and then get out of your ship. Like you are pretty much in a sim kind of environment, as opposed to just a ship combat kind of game. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
I've spent the time the past couple of minutes playing around with falling sand.
Are you super just
you guys,
sucked into that right now?
Well, if you'll check the chat for the pod channel, you'll see I created. It's not in general. It's in the pod built in. So we've got John Arbuckle here. It's called John R. Cuckle. But we got his freaking big old size 42 butt cheeks. He's giving me a little thumbs up there. Presumably looking at Garfield or something. I don't know. But I just want to show you guys that I've made good use of the time.
Dude, falling sand is so cool. There's like so many different versions of it too. So
Look at the size of that hog, dude. Look at
it's
John go.
That's almost big as the image above that Greg added. Which I forgot was there.
And so did
I. So yeah, I drew John Arbuckle. That's all anybody needs to know.
Excellent, dude. Excellent. Oh man. Well, Greg, tell me more about baby life, baby feelings. How are we processing? How are we putting extra games on the Steam Deck so that you can squeeze it in? Are you not even thinking about the Steam Deck? How's all that going? Just kind of rolling around in your head thinking about it.
Oh, I'm thinking about the Steam Deck.
Right.
I think right now what I'm going to do, I mean, other than Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, which is the first major expansion for the game, is coming out in less than a month now.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
So I would love at some point in the next 25 days to finish my 100% playthrough of Elden Ring and play the expansion a little bit. But I think beyond that, the first thing is I'm just not going to buy games for a while. I'm going to play what I have and haven't played.
Yeah,
I've got to
absolutely work on that backlog, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like the biggest thing on my mind, other than all the dad things and that's pretty overwhelming, is just like the balance of what my life's going to look like moving forward, because it's such a mystery and I can't explain like how that feels to anyone that hasn't been a father or isn't going to have kids, like just the thought of, my life is about to change forever in many, many amazing ways, which are very exciting.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of frightening because it's such a mystery, I mean, you don't know how the actual birth's going to go and how mama's going to be and how baby's going to be and
you don't know till you know
how annoying family is going to be and all that. And like, my mom will never listen to this podcast, so I'm going to talk about her for a second.
And if you say something you regret, just tell me and I'll edit it out.
Yeah. So like the other day, this is, and Jake, you know what I'm talking about for sure. I'm guessing with, not that we don't love all members of our family equally, and that none of them are annoying ever or overbearing or anything like that. I would never, ever suggest that anything to the contrary. But so like my mom called the other day, and my mom lives in North Carolina, right? And she's been talking about moving here for the baby. And my wife's mom lives 5 minutes away from us. Mm-hmm. And so my mom was like, well, I'm going to move to Texas soon, and but I don't expect to like see the baby every single day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, good, because you're not. But then she was like, well, what about Casey's mom? And I said, well, she just told us she's retiring, and so she's gonna be able to help us take care of the baby a lot. And my mom, like, long pause, like nothing.
You're right. She said, I don't expect to see the baby every day, but also tell me about this other.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so she was like doing recon, like, what am I up against? You know.
And so I go, actually, she's retiring, so she's going to be able to help take care of the baby a lot. And like my mom didn't say anything for like 5 seconds. And then she went, oh, so I'm never going to see my grandson. And I went, Mom, that's not what I said at all. You know, I spent the next 10 minutes like calming my mom down, and I just.
Do you think she's bluffing about moving to Texas, or is this for real? Is this happening? Like, actually?
No, it's for real. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna be largely good. And I love my mom, and she's great. But like,
of course. But I just didn't. I don't remember a time that you brought this up to me before. I didn't realize that she was seriously going to move to Texas.
Yeah, honestly, right now it's just like a job thing because it's kind of hard to get a. She has a great job as a pharmacist, but she's also like a 67-year-old pharmacist, and like most places don't want to hire a 67-year-old pharmacist
because they're expensive. With all that experience, you're going to command a certain salary, and then that means what it means, and so.
And how long are you really going to be around? I mean,
exactly. If you're that age and still working, how much more can we expect? You know, so it's tricky, man.
And so that's kind of the only missing piece, and but yeah, it's kind of it's for those of you out there that have kids, you probably know what I'm talking about. Those that don't, you'll find out, and I'm going to find out a whole lot more soon. But it's a weird feeling, and I'll just talk about it from like the video game perspective because this is largely a video game podcast, right?
Sure.
It's a weird feeling thinking back on my life, and like generally I've had the freedom to play video games when I want to, even when I've been in relationships, and even after my wife and I get married, like, I can always say, hey, I'm going to go hang out with the boys for 3 hours. And, it's generally not a problem. And that's getting ready
with enough heads up and with good communication, you should, and this goes for Casey too, you should be able to maintain your hobbies, whatever shape those are, and then as I think you're about to say, there's certain life events that will put those hobbies on pause, no matter what your hobby is. Like if I was having my first child in the next month like you are, disc golf would pause, video games would pause, playing music would pause. It would all just like, there's only one thing that matters now. And until we get a grip on that and it's a part of our routine, everything else is on hold, in some ways, and I hope that you find that this is the case, in some ways, dude, it's kind of rad because your life gets simpler in a sense. There's only one thing I got to worry about. I got to worry about taking care of this baby. If I'm going to take care of the baby, I got to take care of myself. So as long as I sleep when the baby sleeps, feed myself, drink water, and don't totally over caffeinate, I'm good. I just got to take care of the baby. That's it. That's the only priority now. You get to say no to so many things. It's so great because people would be like, hey, can you guys come out? And we're like, no, we just had a baby, remember? And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right.
And you get to just piss your pants. And everybody's like, why did you piss your pants? You're like, first, it's because he's my boy because we were hanging out. We're bonded. He does it. I do it. It's great.
That's right, dude.
Yeah, I had Casey pick up a few of those age 34 diapers. Yeah,
right.
But yeah, no, it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Fellow grass touchers, fans of the pod, you need to be aware that I will be probably taking a hiatus from Ye Olde Podcast for a few weeks when the baby's here.
Right.
And don't worry, I'll be right back at it quickly. But
that's right. We hope to squeeze one more good week out of him, folks, and then it'll be the Jake and Jared show for a little while. Maybe we'll have some guests on. We'll do some other things.
Yeah, we can finally have on.
I think we should have Gabby on, dude. I always see her slinking around behind you. She ain't slick. I saw that.
No, yeah, she always sneaks around back there. She just got back from the gym.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
They see you every time. It's like barely you can see you.
Just for like a second. It's truly not a big deal.
Yeah, dude, that would be so awesome though. You grow up, you're like, your son's like turns like 15. You're like, hey, bud, trying to like hang out with him. You're like, what'd you say we, throw some diapers on, go to the movies, piss our pants? Come on, it's like we used to do. He's like, Dad, I don't do that anymore.
I haven't done that for like a year.
You have like a year, okay? All the kids at school, we poop our pants now. You what? You been pooping your pants? I told you not to do it. I told you it's dangerous.
Well, consider me Miles Davis.
Yeah. Whereas Jared's kid will be like, Dad, I listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
And in episode 25,
Oh,
you told
no.
a story
Not that
about
one.
poopy news.
The John Arbuckle one?
No, I'm talking about last week, Doc.
No. Oh, no. Got you.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, yeah, dude, we're rooting for you, Deg. I think this is all good things, and I'm stoked to see how it all goes down. It's going to be story time.
Can't wait to send a bunch of
all
pictures.
about
And
That's right. We got FaceTime and all that. And then, of course, what we really got to do is I get to plan a trip out there. So that's always
you do.
always
gonna
something
be-
to look forward to.
gonna be a
Good
blast.
trip.
I got reasons to be in Fort Worth, too. So we'll have to coordinate.
Do you, though?
Yeah. Our church is in Fort Worth, and I got a bunch of friends there. Gabby and I.
Yeah, like Deg.
Like Dag, for namely. Head band director at what's the high school?
The Burleson High School. I'm just kidding. That's not the high school.
Hey, Jared, what do you got for us this week, dog? Hit me with the news.
Well, Ambernick seems to have finally perfected the elusive clamshell form factor for handhelds.
Is that why the letters SP are at the end of the SKU there?
That is why.
Oh,
It's at the end of that really, really long, annoying Chinese named. It's been Chinesely named. If you know, understand.
Go on.
It's the RG35XXSP.
Okay.
Made by Ann Bernick, and it comes in 4 colors. One of which is the original silver, that is very recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
It plays up to.
I'm looking at a picture of it. It literally looks like a Game Boy SP.
It does. It is, and it's very close. It's a little bit larger, which isn't the worst thing because the SP was kind of designed for children.
Right.
I guess that does affect its pocketability in a certain sense, but yeah, it plays up to like the bottom end of like Dreamcast. Plays PlayStation and everything below that perfectly, I think. Yeah, cool little device. I have one on the way. I do that. I'll get a thing, and if I absolutely love it, it'll stay in my hands. But I'll check it out, put some games on it, play it, enjoy it, and then I'll sell it. Pretty much recoup everything, if not more.
Especially if it was hard to get a hold of in the first place. If you get in on the early adoption train, then you can resell and break even or better. Yeah.
And it takes things like 2 weeks minimum to get here from China.
Oh,
so
sure.
there's people who are just like, I want one today. I'll pay $20 over what, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's not like a risk or anything. So I'm excited to check that out. More to come on that. Maybe I'll end up sending it to Greg so he can sneak playing video games while he's holding his baby. Who knows? I don't know.
Wouldn't that be a delightful baby gift? I dig that. I have said this before to Greg that he needs to pick a game to be his baby game. Because I don't remember what it was for Max, but I know I've said before for Benson it was Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's like you create this fond sort of like attachment. Like, oh, remember when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out? Oh, yes, I remember. It was 2019 because we had just had Benson. You know, like you never forget.
Yeah. Arthur, I've invented the Game Boy SP. Dutch, not this again. No, it's got Pokemon Sapphire on it. Who is that? That's not. Is that Dutch? Is that faithful to Dutch, or is it
It's pretty
just,
close. It might as well be. I don't know.
There's a whole world of Game Boy cartridges out there. I don't know. Whatever.
We got to find it. Yeah. Come on,
Oh, Dutch, come on, man.
Well, that's dope, dude. I love the look of it, and if it reviews well in your hands, then it might have to be at the top of my gift list there, bud.
Yeah, it's not a bad price. It really isn't, especially for as capable. There's already review videos out there from the reputable sources. The complaints are minimal and the praise is high. Looks like a great little device, and we already know it works. The idea, the concept, we already know it works. It's the Game Boy SP. It's one of the most beloved handhelds of all time. So
all that matters at this point is that it is made with a certain amount of robust, parts, and
Right.
If it doesn't fall apart and the hinge is good and sort of it
Right.
holds up, you kind of can't lose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now, does it take? I already closed the tab, but does it take like cartridges or does it just play sort of emulated?
It is emulated. It is software emulation. So yeah, it just SD card and everything you need on there. There are still like FPGA cart loaded stuff like we've talked about before, but no, this is not one of those.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just wondering. Yeah, everybody. 9 days ago, somebody posted, "Hey, they nailed it. It's looking good so far."
Nice. Nice.
What's this Dota? Tell me a little bit more about Dota. I'm curious. I know in other live service games that we've played in the past, a big patch comes out and people flood back to it. How's this patch doing? Not that I need every line of the patch notes, but
let me read you the entire patch notes right now.
sit here for another hour, blow my brains out.
It was just kind of a surprise because it's been a little while, I think, since there's been a patch. I started playing, I guess, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, and it hadn't had a patch in a little while since then, so I think it's been a little while. But it was a surprise because I think people were mostly expecting a new hero soon, a new character. This shifts like the entire meta. It's like if, to put it in like Rainbow Six Siege terms, it's like
you might need to talk down to me in that way. Actually,
well, yeah, just to put it into perspective, it's like if you gave every operator in Siege, and there's like, let's imagine there's like 80 operators, every operator 2 new like passive skills that change their character pretty drastic from like mildly to like extremely different. So the whole, speaking of a game that already has a million moving parts, they just kind of like multiplied the moving parts by a factor of 2 or, whatever. I don't know. Mathematically, I don't know how to break that down. Just listen to our next we're taping our math podcast after this, guys.
Yeah.
You can listen to that and I'll explain mathematically how that all breaks down. But yeah, it's exciting. I appreciate it. It's a free game. You do not have to pay. That's what's
wild to me. That game, I love a fat patch on a free game that just like breathes life into it. That's pretty sick.
And I think people are afraid to like heap any kind of praise on companies or entities that make already enormous sums of money, but Valve deserves it. They don't put out bad games.
Right.
They're not, in my view, they are not a manipulative. Yes. Did they put an entire generation of young men on gambling as a hobby? Yes. Okay.
Is Counter-Strike 2 incredibly toxic to the FPS scene at large? Yes.
Did Valve give them a little taste? Did he give them just a little nibble? Yes. Of an entire generation of boys? Yes. But you can always say no. There's a Gambling Anonymous hotlines you can call if you want to open one more crate. Get that knife out of there, fellas. Just say no. Just say no if you want.
Right.
No, big respect to Valve and to the team that maintains and develops Dota. I think it's like a team of like 30 people. Mm-hmm. And it's got a lot of love in it. It's easy to hate, I think, but it's a great game. It's free if you want to play it, and you may never put it down.
Yeah, dude. That's something to consider. Tread lightly. Be careful.
Do you guys gamble?
Well, I was just in Vegas the other week, and I love a good roulette table, dog. You can't. I literally left my debit card in the hotel room so that I wouldn't go to the ATM after my one ATM. I went to the ATM smart. And I pulled out X amount of money, and that was like earlier in the day. So then when we were done with our sort of day and I went back to the hotel room, I like put all the sources of cash got left in the room, and I have my room key and like my wallet with my ID and stuff. And then we had our night out, and I won some money. I do love.
Nice.
I do love a good roulette table, but
yeah, dude. Greg, are you a betting man?
No, it's one of the few vices I don't have. I enjoy gambling, but I only gamble when I go to Vegas, and I only go to Vegas like once every 2 years. I'm trying to get it to where we like Casey and I go once a year to Vegas, because a lot of people around here go to Vegas like once a year or twice a year. Well, there's several casinos within a few hours of here because gambling's legal in Oklahoma. And so
right.
we're about an hour from the border of Oklahoma. So when I go to Vegas, which I love Vegas, I like to play roulette. And the last time we went for a wedding back in September, and I played blackjack like pretty seriously for the first time, and I just had an absolute blast. Like, that's my new favorite game to play is blackjack. And, but I don't enjoy. I don't know. I like the thrill of gambling, but not so much that I do it more than like once a year.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
I wanna work my way. Just dedicate years of becoming a blackjack dealer at like, what's the biggest one? Like Mandalay Bay. Is that like one of the big casinos?
Honestly,
It is
most
one
of
of
the
the big ones,
casinos.
but
That is one of the big ones. Most of the casinos are pretty comparable, like Mandalay Bay or the Venetian or the Bellagio,
MGM.
or whatever. MGM,
Right.
like they're all pretty humongous and equally kind of bougie or whatever.
R.I.P. to the Mirage, by the way. I don't know if you guys saw
Oh,
that.
dang.
Rip, dude.
It was never there, though. How many times I got to tell you this? No, I want to become the greatest blackjack dealer, and then I'm going to make it to, like, the big... I'm going to be, like, at the center, the main table in, like, the biggest room, and then the first person who says, hit me, I'm just going to just
Deck
punch
him.
him in the face as hard as I can. Be like, okay...
You're gonna be like a championship, like whatever. If there's, I don't know if there's a blackjack dealer like world stage sort of competition, like just be like the Jared Lewis. You wouldn't believe his fall from grace when he decided to.
just punch him in the face. Just punch Nancy Sinatra right in the face when she says hit me, and then just lose my mind. Just turn into an ape, just running around the room, take my pants off. That's what I'm gonna do. His epic fall from grace.
That would be so sick, dude. Oh my god, how has somebody not done that yet? What a brilliant idea!
I know, what a great idea. Dang, dude, opportunity. It is a knocking. This is the land of opportunity. This is America. You can do whatever you want.
That's right.
What if you think? What if the guys that drove the plane into the Twin Towers, somebody just told them that you can do whatever you want in America, and they're like, very cool. Let's do this. This will be very, very American. They're going to love this. They just try.
So Dota's pretty cool.
Dota's cool, dude.
So yeah, Dota,
I tell you, it could either be the best time to jump in, or it could be the worst time, because the meta gets more and more complicated. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, fellas, I just love that game, man. I can't get enough of it. So maybe I'll
that you love it.
What? Thank you, dude.
Yeah.
You love that game for me. How's Helldivers? Is that still going on?
Well, I got dragged back into PUBG, and I've just sort of accepted my fate that's going to be the game. It's our fault that Tyler loves PUBG so much, and so I feel
It is 100% our
this,
fault. Yeah.
I feel like the drug dealer is like, yeah, man, I'll light up with you real quick.
Right.
I don't got much time, but yeah. All right, come on, whip it out, come on.
Right.
And so we'll do some PUBG every once.
What kind of drug dealers are you talking?
What? This is the gayest drug dealer of all time.
I don't
Yeah,
got much
bro, I'll do some drugs with you. Take your pants off.
But I have this like weird guilt of like, well, I'm the one that suggested he play it, and now it's his new favorite. So like, it's like, hey man, I'm gonna be on PUBG if anybody's interested. And I'm like, yeah, all right, cool.
You know what? I am interested.
Yeah, I do love Helldivers. I like Helldivers way more than I like PUBG right now, because I'm just done with the whole like. the best way to play PUBG is with a full 4-squad. And if you don't have a 4-stack, you're going to have bad time. And if you don't have a 4-stack and you choose to add randoms to your stack, you're also going to have a bad time.
Right.
Or at least most of the time you will. And so rather than have to put up with disappointing teammates, you just go the two. If it's me and Tyler, for example, just 2, and then everybody else seems to have a 4-stack. And it sucks because they took away. They used to have a duos mode. Jared, you and I played that ad nauseum. We played that until we were really sick of it.
Yeah.
And
boy.
that was, that the game was even less optimized.
We've done that with a few games, actually.
Yeah, we have. It's true.
We beat the brakes off of Apex Legends, and then until it just subdued us. We're just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
But we the problem with PUBG as it stands right now is that if it's just like you and one other guy, you get in there and you're forced to play against 4-stacks that they just play the game a lot, dude. And you get killed by somebody that just has more gun skill, or they have some sort of like game knowledge that you just lack. And there's a very frustrating moment every time I die that when I go look at their rank, they're not just a higher level. They have hit the level cap and then hit the level cap again, and they're prestiged in this like just embarrassing way.
Right.
I've put in hours on that game, and I'm level like 120 something, I think, which seems like a lot, but then you look at how much I played the game and it kind of checks out. And then you see people that have done 3 prestiges and they're level 365 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just don't...
Dude.
The game's been out for a while, but man.
It's such a trap. It's such a trap, too, because, like, video games are that way, especially competitive ones. Because, speaking in terms of, like, drugs, competitive video games are their own experience, and in my view, they're the best.
Sure.
That's where I have the most fun. Because I feel like I'm putting my, I'm testing my mettle against other people, and I get to compete and be better than them. But you're going to run into somebody who either has way more time or plays that game exclusively, or the worst combo, has way too much time and then spends all that time exclusively playing that game. And there's like this, you run the formula in your brain, and the returns, they just diminish horrifically. Yes. And you're like, well, I guess I'm just not going to play this game because to be as good as him, I have to play it all the time. But if I play it all the time, then I lose my
wife falls apart.
Yeah, my wife leaves me, and it's like, it's tough getting to a point where you can enjoy a competitive game, and just kind of be able to be like, all right, well, I guess I'm not. Do you have to be drunk or something to do that? I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that can get done if you're drunk enough. There's two other main components to PUBG that I've sort of fallen out of love with. Some of the cosmetic rewards are cool. The vast majority of them are gay.
Yeah,
I hate they're like schoolgirl outfits and neon pink fluorescent cattails and God knows what else. Giant dinosaur costumes. I mean, just the worst of the worst ideas of costume design I have ever seen in a video game. I thought Rainbow Six Siege was bad, breaking the tactical immersion with Mozzie Pizza skin or whatever.
Dude, the god of all annoying costumes, the Mozzie Pizza skin, dude.
Yes.
The Rick and Morty stuff is pretty close, though.
Yeah.
I was going to say, not to be outdone, they thought, you know what, let's throw Rick and Morty in the mix. Yeah, that'll be great.
Right.
Oh, and also Sledge is now Master Chief, so that's cool. But then the other element of, because if the cosmetics are less awful, then I might be tempted to keep playing so that I can, because I haven't spent a dime on any microtransactions in PUBG. I have just kind of unlocked lots of currency over time, and the different types of currency. I just don't fool with like a good half of the game economy, because it's nauseating to try to decipher what you should even focus on. But the second component that I've sort of fallen out of love with is the circle, dude. It's the main sort of mechanic of the game.
Right.
And I'm starting to realize that, like, it was novel 8 years ago, and it was very interesting, and the way that it squeezes everybody into a tighter and tighter spot. and it forces you to encounter other players. Just when you think you're safe, the circle really is inconvenient for where you're at on the map, and you have to cross over wide open terrain with zero cover.
Right.
And you either have to get in a vehicle and make lots of noise in a vehicle, or you have to hoof it across all this open terrain. And the circle determines your fate, to a huge degree. And I think that's something that if I'm going to play even slightly competitively, and I don't just mean play ranked, but just like if I'm going to play against other people and try to win against people, it feels really bad for RNG to be a part of it at all.
RNG and just the simplicity of the mechanic, I get it. Like Occam's razor, like don't overcomplicate it. Sometimes the simplest is the best answer. But it really, you're right. It was so when these games first dropped, it was like the circle. It's cool. It's like it's pushing everybody together. And it's creating opportunity for. But now we're this late into the game cycle and into that concept cycle that there's strategies that exist now that make it unfun. It's not fun. It's like, oh, let's just you start to learn people's patterns and it starts to stagnate, and it's like the circle it's almost like it's not RNG. If you are like a veteran or something, you just are like, we're just going to play the circle against them in a way that's not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't level the playing field. It's I don't know.
Yeah, I think all three of us can think of times where like you were coming in from the blue and trying to get into the circle, and guys who were also in the blue and not in the circle started shooting at you just so that they could get a kill. But now they're even further behind you, and now you're dead, and now they're not going to make it. And they won't make it because you could spectate them and see how they don't make it. So all they wanted to do is take you down with them, even though it benefited them zero. Right. Unless they're just going for kills, which, we all know there's plenty of people that are doing that. The point isn't to win. The point is to get the most kills. And this is a tactic, so like whatever. I've done this to an extent. Shooting out tires on vehicles before anybody has even gotten in them so that they cannot get in them. Like that's pretty brutal, and it's a little more fair play as far as I'm concerned. But I've literally been like dodging sniper shots from someone and trying to like get out of a building so that I can get in the circle. And then I see across the way there's a vehicle like across the street or something. I'm like, ooh, there's a vehicle over there. If I could just get over there, I'll be good. And the sniper had an angle on the vehicle. And as I'm like about to jump out from behind a freaking gas station or whatever and sprint for this vehicle, I see and they like shoot the tires out of the vehicle. They read my mind. They knew I was going to need that vehicle if I was going to get out of there. I was like, dang it. Right. So I don't know. It's a game that I do enjoy for like 10% nostalgia and 90% just brainless. Let me go shoot at stuff because this is a reasonably fun game to shoot at stuff in. Yeah. And then there's this percentage of like I'm just done caring. Like it sucks to say, but I don't have to like a game to play it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm just gonna play it because it's what we're playing right now, and hopefully it gets outmoded by something soon because it's or like I said, the Unreal Engine 5 thing. I hope that will be a change for the better. So
it's funny. Like, I don't feel that way at all, but I also only started playing PUBG a few months ago. I never played it when it came out, right? And I never played not Fallout, but what's the other?
Oh,
game?
Fortnite.
Fortnite. God, Fallout. Fortnite.
Or Apex Legends, or other sort of battle royale games. Yeah.
I never played any of those games, so like PUBG is still super like new feeling to me and very novel to me, and like I'm not interested in quitting playing that game like anytime soon because I have a blast every single time I play because every time I play something new happens to me that hasn't happened before, and I'm hanging out with my pals and getting all of one kill.
And in your defense as well, you actually haven't been able to play PUBG with us in a minute, so we need to do that. But
and also to your point though, I enjoy PUBG when we're all playing. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking mostly about games that I can play on my own and still have a good time with. Right. That's not one of them. Just like Jake's saying, but you're totally right. I always enjoy playing with you guys because it just creates so many more opportunities to succeed.
Yes.
But
Oh my
like
gosh.
playing by yourself
Night and day.
is like whoa. Never again. I will never do this
In
again.
some ways, it's the fact that there is a solo queue makes it so that you never have to deal with a squad. It is like once you're dead, you're dead. You don't have to knock somebody and then finish them. They're just done. But when I play solo, it's like super infuriating.
Yeah.
So it's not a recommended way to experience the game. Absolutely shoot for a full 4-stack, because there has not been a time, except for one, where we had a 4-stack and I had a bad time. There's only one time, and that was due to not the game. But
If I wanted to invite a small Chinese man to bend over and fart directly in my face, I would go on down to Chinatown, brother. Okay, do the 20 with it.
that's right, dude.
I'm not gonna line up to do some solo PUBG and get my cheeks clapped by ping. And
Go
I'm
down
not
there
talking
to-
about internet connectivity.
Was it where those apartments that I lived at had the international market across the like catty corner? from the apartments?
Cirque.
I bet you- go get you some. Go get you some favors done out behind Lely International Market.
Yeah, Ling Lings.
Yeah,
Dude, that apartment complex, I think they renamed it. It has new ownership since you lived there, but it's literally
I should
called,
hope so.
it's
The
called-
ownership that we were at was horrendous.
Yeah.
Our landlords were terrible. That management company was garbage. I think it was
Yeah.
Graystar.
It's called Cirque now, though.
Cirque, like Circle or Cirque du Soleil or like what?
Or like circumcision. If you're like me, every time I see it, I'm like, cool, Cirque. They're like, all right, sir, your credit looks fine. Your deposit is in, but real quick, you're gonna need to drop your trousers and let me see if you're if you fit the last qualification. What's the last? What?
This
Sir, did you not
apartment
read the
complex
name of
is
the-
called Cirque for a reason, sir.
Right.
It is not called Uncut. There's a
Right.
reason for that. I'm sorry.
That's why there was
if
all
this-
those mezuzahs in front of everyone's doors.
HR does not have any policies for discriminating based off that factor.
It's true.
We're not technically allowed to make you do that, but it would be a shame if your life was very, 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 very uncomfortable living here if you didn't do that. You know what I mean? You follow me?
Oh man, I'm looking at the page for this now because I want to see if it looks any better. Or
I
not.
don't know why the guy working
sure
in the
it's
office at
the
Cirque
same.
is very Italian, but it
Our-
would be a shame if you didn't do this. That's all I'm saying.
What are you talking about, Jared? You're doing a Jamaican accent, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry, I got those mixed up again.
You want any of this gabagoo? You better be, cut down there. We ain't having none of that. Oh man, I had some gabagool the other night, dude. It was so good.
Yeah?
Ooh, buddy. Oh my gosh, we had a charcuterie board. I lined it up. I had smoked salmon. We had the gabagool. We had the salami. We had it going on, man.
You guys had a charcuterie board?
Charcuterie board.
That's right.
Excellent stuff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And please don't forget to subscribe, like all the things at Grass Touchers on Instagram and Grass Touchers on Spotify and our YouTube channel, wonderful YouTube channel where you can see more and more content every few weeks. And until next time, I'll see you guys in a few weeks, hopefully. And actually, I'll see you next week. Barring any
Hopefully, that's
early
right.
baby
Hopefully we can-
incidents.
Yeah, hopefully we can get one more out of you.
But until then, we will see you all later. Jake, take us away.
Thanks again, folks. Get out there, all right? The weather's good, hopefully, where you're at. It's time to get out and touch some grass.